Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl DFS slate for Thursday, November 17th. We got ourselves a 13-game slate where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. Now we got 8 of these games coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals. 5 of the games coming in at 6 goals even. I am recording this the night before. I'll explain why here in just a minute. But before I do that, take a look at the Vegas odds there. You can see the Golden Knights and Bruins, even the Jets sitting really nice on the money line, and then every other team favored to win on Thursday night. With that being said, before I dive into a couple of my favorite line stacks here, just want to give you a quick little update with where I'm at. As I believe most of you know, I am going to be traveling here over the next 9 days, going back home to Minnesota, spending some time in Canada as well over this Thanksgiving kind of holiday break, if you will. But I still want to get out as much NHL content as possible and as much NFL content as well. But it's probably not going to be the same schedule, being that I will be traveling quite a bit, going to multiple different locations. So for those of you looking for an update with where I'm at in terms of my content, you can join my Discord, link in the description below. I'll keep you guys updated there. I'm going to try and keep you guys updated on my videos too, but it's a lot easier to communicate on Discord. So that's why I'm recording this video here on Wednesday night. My flight back to Minnesota leaves early tomorrow morning. Some of you might be going, dude, you're wearing the same shirt on back-to-back videos. Yes, I am, but that's because I'm recording on the same day as well. I prefer to record these NHL videos in the morning, but really didn't have an option here for this Thursday slate. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks here that I like for Thursday night. Now, obviously, these could change, right? Being that I am recording the night before, that's part of the reason I like recording in the mornings. I can get a better sense of who's actually playing with one another, but I don't think we're going to see this first line change for the Winnipeg Jets. We got Scheifele centering Connor and Gagne. With Mason Appleton out, I believe he broke his wrist. We're seeing Gagne get another shot up on that first line and the #1 power play as well. So it's a really strongly correlated line here and relatively affordable, especially considering how good of a matchup they have at home against the Anaheim Ducks, who've allowed 4.31 goals per game this year and only have a penalty kill that's hitting at a 65% rate. Those two numbers there are both second worst in the NHL. So again, let's make sure we're checking in on the lines here on Thursday just to ensure nothing has changed, but I believe this will be the first line for Winnipeg. Now, I think the Montreal Canadiens have found their first line of the future. 3 young guys who are playing very well together right now. Suzuki centering Caulfield and Doc. Another strong correlated line too, being that these guys all play up on the #1 power play, and their numbers have been very good here as of late. 15 goals, 19 assists, 34 points in their past 10 games, and have a great matchup to expand on that on Thursday night against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who've allowed a league-high 4.33 goals per game this season. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I got hockey content coming out for you guys all year long, and again, if you want to join my Discord channel, there's a link in the description below to do that. Not only will I be able to give vacation updates in there and let you know where I'm at in terms of content, but we got a great group of people talking hockey in there as well. And for tomorrow, I'm going to be traveling all day long, not going to be able to give updates on this slate here, so it's nice to have a great group of people in there talking some puck, giving some updates, and giving their picks as well. Alright, now diving into some of these individual plays here, we're going to kick it off with the forwards. First guy I got there is Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild. This guy is fantastic when he plays at home. I mean, he's a great player as it is, but just something special about that XL Energy Rink where he steps up his game even more. He's racked up 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points in 7 home games this year, and averages around 5 shots on net per game. Now, let's not forget, you get 5 shots on net in a game on DraftKings, you get a 3-point DraftKings bonus. Kaprizov is certainly capable of that. He plays on the first line, he plays on the #1 power play, logs 20 plus minutes per night, and has a good matchup at home here tonight against the tomorrow night against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have allowed 3.56 goals per game this year, the 8th most in the NHL, with a penalty kill that's just hit at a 76% rate, so Kirill should be able to continue that home success against the Pens. Now, I would love to play that entire first line for the Boston Bruins on Thursday night, Bergeron centering Pastrnak and Marchand, but it's very, very expensive to do that. Not impossible, but if you do it, the rest of your lineup doesn't look all that great. So I went with Bergeron here of the three. He's the best value play in my opinion and the cheapest of the three at $7,300. And we know the upside that he has, right? Just like the other two, these guys have multiple point upside really on any given night, but especially in a matchup like this against the Philadelphia Flyers, who have started to look like the Flyers team we expected at the beginning of the season. I know they played well right out the gate, but kind of coming back down to earth here as of late. In their past 6 games, they've allowed 3.50 goals per game, with a penalty kill that's just hit at a 68.8% rate. This Bruins team should have their way with them. Bergeron's racked up 15 points in 16 games this year, and he's second on the team in expected goals, just behind Pasta. Now, one guy who's riding a heater right now is Boone Jenner of the Columbus Blue Jackets. 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points in his past 5 games, where he's racked up 24 shots on net, damn near averaging 5 shots on net per game. Now, his price is steadily going up as well, considering how well he is playing, but there's no reason to think he can't continue that success in a great home matchup against the Montreal Canadiens, who have allowed 3.80 goals per game here in their past 5 games, starting to slip a little bit defensively and with their goaltending here as of late, kind of like the Philadelphia Flyers, and I wouldn't be afraid to just target that game in general. I think there's a lot of high scoring upside from two teams who just aren't very good defensively and don't have the best goaltending. And we're going to stick with that heater trend here because that's exactly what Carter Verhaeghe of the Florida Panthers is riding. He's got 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points in his past 10 games. Love the way he's shooting the puck, averaging around 3.5 shots on net per game during that stretch, which is ultimately translated to about 17.5 DraftKings points per game over his last 10. You know, the points are going to come when you're playing up on that first line with Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk, but this guy's just got the hot touch on his stick right now. Honestly, the only downfall I can see with Verhaeghe is he's playing on the number 2 power play versus the number 1, but he's still a guy who should log around 18 minutes on Thursday night. Now, on the other side of that Florida game, I like Joe Pavelski as well, sitting at a really nice price of $5,200 considering how he's playing. He's racked up 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points here in just his past 5 games. And I know this number is unsustainable, but the Dallas Stars have scored at a 60% rate on the power play over their past 5 games, and no other team in the NHL has taken more minor penalties than the Florida Panthers this year. So that seems like a recipe for success. We're going to see Pavelski play up on that first line, play on the number 1 power play, and should log around 18-19 minutes in that game. Now, I'm not going to lie, I had Timo Meier of the San Jose Sharks on my spreadsheet earlier. I would absolutely pay up for him at $7,500 in a good matchup at home against the Detroit Red Wings, but I like the value we get out of Logan Couture as well, playing on that second line but gets time on the number 1 power play, and has found his scoring touch a little bit here as of late too. 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in his past 10 games, averaging around 11.5 DraftKings points per game. Not bad at all for a guy priced in the mid 4K range. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and there are quite a few top tier defensemen on this slate, as you'd imagine, being that it's a 13-game slate, 26 different teams to choose from, but I really like the value in the 4 to 5K range. I think there's some mispriced players there, but one top tier guy I thought might go under the radar a little bit is Mikhail Sergachev, and a lot of people probably don't know this, but he took over on the number 1 power play over Victor Hedman. I don't know if that's going to remain true going forward. It certainly doesn't seem like that. Hedman is too talented, one of the best defensemen in the NHL, but Sergachev is playing some really good hockey right now. 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points in his past 10 games, averaging around 2 shots on net per game, and averaging around 2.5 block shots per game. And let's not forget, you block 3 shots in a game, you get that 3-point DraftKings bonus. Sergachev is certainly capable of doing that, on top of getting on the score sheet, and he should play around 24-25 plus minutes on Thursday night. Next, I got Aaron Ekblad there of the Florida Panthers, and I talked about him just the other day. If he's going to float in this 4K range or the low 5K range, I will take advantage of that discount. This is usually someone who floats in the 6K range, and he plays big minutes, 23 plus minutes per night, plays on the number 1 power play, plays on the penalty kill, and can rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways. It's really the Noah Hanifin Hanifin situation all over from a couple of weeks ago when he was in the 3K range, and I kept saying it's not going to be long before his price creeps up $1,000. Here he is today in the low 5K range, and I don't think it's going to be long before Ekblad is in the 6K range, so again, I'll take advantage of that. I then got Josh Morrissey there of the Winnipeg Jets. I highlighted how good the matchup was at home for the Jets here on Thursday night against the Anaheim Ducks, who struggle defensively, have a horrible penalty kill, and Morrissey is a guy who's going to log big minutes himself, should play about 23 plus minutes, and plays up on that number one power play. Maybe you stack up Scheifele, Connor, and Morrissey, go with the safe plays on that number one power play, or maybe you mix in Gagne too, do a four-man stack on that number one power play, considering how good the matchup is for the Winnipeg Jets. But let me talk about Morrissey here for a second as well. I feel like I was very hyper-focused on how good the matchup was for the Jets that I really didn't even talk about Morrissey himself, but he's got 15 points through 14 games this year, which actually leads this entire Winnipeg Jets team. So yeah, he's playing pretty well to say the least. And then a cheaper value play that I like in the 3K range is Philip Ornick of the Detroit Red Wings. This guy's logging massive minutes right now, 25 and 27 in his last two games, playing in all situations on the number two power play and on the penalty kill, and has found his scoring touch a little bit here as of late too, with 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points in his past 5 games, where he's hit 14.7, 19.8, and 20.6 DraftKings points in 3 of those 5 games, smashing value at this current price of $3,700. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there for you, higher priced and lower priced options. $7,300 for Igor DraftKings, it's a little too cheap. But let's talk about Ullmark here first of the Boston Bruins, who has just been fantastic this year with an 11-1-0 record, a goals allowed average of 1.96, and a save percentage of .936, with 7.0 goals save above expected, 7th best in the NHL. His numbers are absolutely phenomenal right now. And then we got Shesty there. Look, I get it. He's traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast, playing on the road. His numbers aren't as good as they were last year, but he is still elite and one of the best goaltenders in the NHL, with an 8-2-2 record so far this year, a goals allowed average of 2.40, and a save percentage of .915, with 3.5 goals save above expected. So I don't understand why he is so cheap here, but again, I'll take advantage of it. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. Now, there might be some better value out there. Part of the reason I like recording the morning of is because I can get the updated lines and projections. I don't get that the night before, but I do got 3 guys here that I certainly do think are in play. First is Thomas Tatar of the New Jersey Devils, currently playing up on the first line in number 2 power play, and has quietly put up 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points here in his past 10 games, while logging around 16 minutes per game. Next is Alex Killorn of the Tampa Bay Lightning, currently playing on the second line with Steven Stamkos and Nick Paul, and on that number 2 power play. This is not a guy who shoots the puck very much, but is certainly capable of getting on the score sheet. He's now got 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points through 16 games. And then Mike Hoffman there, currently playing on the second line in number 2 power play for the Montreal Canadiens. He's got 4 goals and 13 shots on net here in his past 4 games, starting to heat up a little bit, and has a great matchup to expand on that against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 13-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.